As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This flag was made for you and me.
My name is Matt Siegel. I'm a professional climber, and I've been climbing for, geez, like 17 years now. The question of why I climb is such a hard question. It makes so much sense to me when I'm climbing that it's kind of like I couldn't imagine life without climbing.
I love rock climbing. I don't want to quit.
We are doing it live. This is the semi-final round of the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. It is a perfect day for indoor rock climbing here in Boston as the weather outside is cold and even a little snowy. But inside Central Rock here in Watertown, Massachusetts, the action is just heating up in our semi-final round. The top 20 men and women from yesterday's qualifiers have just this one opportunity to secure a spot in tonight's finals. Brian Runnells and Chris Weidner here with you guys all weekend long. Chris, it was an exciting qualifier round last night. Let's take a little bit of a recap. Who did you like for the men last night?
Well, you know, it's hard to ignore Matty Hong's performance last night. He was the only man to top out the qualifying round, and that was really surprising, actually.
Yeah, he had a great performance. And for the women, we had a four-way tie coming out of qualifiers, some of the best young climbers in the country, and a surprise veteran in there, Alex Puccio.
That's right.
Right up in there with some of the best sport climbers in the country. Really excited to see her test herself on these tall walls here at Central Rock.
Yeah, Puccio's mostly just known for her bouldering and her bouldering competitions, but she's branching out this year and working on the SCS comp, and she looked strong last night. So looking forward to seeing her. Our first competitors are on the wall now.
Yeah, like we said, we got 20 men and 20 women competing in semifinals here. Right away for the men on the right, there's Matt LONDREY, and for the women, Gabrielle Peralta, 16 years old, out of Doylestown, Pennsylvania. Remember, all weekend you can join the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag SCSNationals or in the chat room on YouTube. Let us know who you're rooting for, where you're watching from. Appreciate everyone at home tuning in.
Now, an important difference from yesterday's comp. Today's comp is an on-site format, so we have not seen anybody compete on this. And there's Gabrielle off the wall. And we, the competitors themselves, have not seen what this route looks like. Yesterday, everybody in isolation had a chance to watch a video of the climbs just to make sure it was fair for everyone. But today, the competitors have only had a chance to take a quick look at it.
24-year-old Matt LONDREY there from Watertown, Massachusetts, giving us our first look at men's semifinal. Matt going to be a local favorite here.
Yeah, last night for his final round, the crowd went wild for Matt LONDREY.
Just not getting to semifinals here in 20th position. Talk a little bit about how that worked out. Just a second as Matt LONDREY ejects from men's semifinal.
And that was his go. Washed up for the semifinals here, but we'll see how that compares. That looked like a really challenging section from the ground. I'm curious to see the other men test themselves on those slopers.
Yeah, we saw yesterday during qualifiers, the men's routes were pretty difficult for the men. Like we said, Matty Hong was the only man to top out either of the qualifiers. So we know the men's field has their work cut out for them. For the women, we saw numerous women complete both qualifiers. So we know the route setters want to step it up a little bit during semifinals here today. Start to separate these women as we look towards finals tonight at 6:45 Eastern time.
Yeah, and those women that topped out yesterday were Delaney Miller, Margot Hayes, Alex Puccio, and Grace McKeon. Delaney Miller is our defending female champion from last year.
As our next competitors get ready, remind you that you can check out unofficial live scores as the round progresses at lt11.tv. If you scroll down underneath the video there, you can check out the unofficial scores. Lower ranking points is better. Number of tops is what matters the most, though. Goes tops and then points. As we have for the men, Liam Andrews-Bancroft, a 17-year-old climber from Florence, Massachusetts. For the women, that's Marisa Romero from Frisco, Texas, 17-year-old climber from Team Texas.
It looked like the women's route is kind of mellow at the very start. The way these routes tend to be set is that they're easier at the beginning, so the climbers at least have a chance to get partway up the wall. They get progressively more difficult, and I don't know, Brian, we were looking at the ground from the ground today thinking it'd be pretty impressive if anybody actually tops out these routes. They look very, very hard, especially near the top.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing some of the top qualifiers on these routes. They look really interesting, and like you said, really hard. But that's what's so fun about seeing these top competitors on these routes that at first glance look like wouldn't really be possible, but the climbers are really impressive.
So Liam is also 17 years old, a Massachusetts local, Team Central Rock West. It's interesting, so far the women have climbed much faster, even though there's many more moves, more holds on the women's route. It looks a little bit longer than the men's, but the men's, it just looks like every single section is really challenging. Body position is super important on these slopers.
Yeah, it's going to be a definite difference in style between these routes. Both relentlessly steep, though. Marisa looking very comfortable, though, so far. Climbing really smoothly. Climbers want to climb relaxed, which is hard to do on this big stage here at SCS Nationals. But she is looking really good so far.
We didn't get that shot of Liam, but he just fell off down pretty low. So, so far the men's route is proving to be very difficult.
Yeah, that could be a theme in the early goings here in semifinals.
Meanwhile, Marisa's still climbing. Now, the way this is working is as soon as one of the men or women falls, the other just goes. So it's kind of exciting. There's no waiting. So Marisa will be climbing while John Brosler is going to be stepping up to climb next. And you mentioned something interesting about John Brosler to me. We can get to that.
Yeah, as we see Marisa making another clip there. Clips are not optional at SCS Nationals. Each one must be clipped in sequence. Doing a nice job so far.
All right. Yeah, just barely sticking that pocket.
Getting into the steepest part of the wall here and not able to sort out that sequence of pockets, but nice work by Marisa Romero. Her semifinal climb here at SCS Nationals. John Brosler stepping up for the men. John is one of the best speed climbers in the world. National champion for the U.S. last year, setting a U.S. record at SCS Nationals out at Center 1. We'll be seeing finals of speed nationals tomorrow, or tonight, excuse me, after lead finals is over. So that's going to be something to check out. John will be competing in that tonight.
And there's definitely some kind of correlation between the speed climbing and the difficulty. However, there's certainly no direct correlation. So it is pretty impressive that John is a speed champion as well as already in semifinals. Let's see if he can put his speed to work on this semifinals route today. Adriana Jacobsen for the ladies, stepping up to the plate from Cambridge, Massachusetts. Surely a local favorite.
See if John Brosler can push the high point here in men's semifinal. It's going to be a real challenge, though, for all these competitors. No free lunch in semifinals at all.
Yeah. Adriana making her way up the ladies' semifinal route. Doesn't look super challenging up to this point, but like I said, it gets progressively harder as the moves go. Adriana is climbing very well.
And Chris, we can't overemphasize, this is the climber's only chance of making it in the finals. Their high point on this route will determine whether they make the cut for finals tonight. Looking to take the top 8 competitors to finals with some caveats, which we'll talk about in just a second.
John Brosler now fighting. He's so far high pointing. This looks like it's going to be an exciting sequence here.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the climbers decipher this.
Nice
work by John Brosler. Awesome sequence from our route setters. Nice job by John Brosler.
That's going to be a fun one to see how these guys deal with this.
Speaking of those route setters, route setting team this week is led by Brett Johnston, assisted by Mike Helt, Shane Messer, Meg Coyne, and Rylan Marshall.
And I think we're going to see something similar to yesterday, Brian, where the women are just going to take longer on their route because, frankly, the route's a little easier. There's a lot more moves, and the guys are just getting spit off that thing, and it could be anywhere. So we're going to go through the men's field a little faster.
Nice work by Adriana Jacobsen. So Chris, last night we talked a lot about how we're taking top 16 to semifinals, and then here we are today with the top 20 climbers. So just to explain that real quick for people at home, there are certain climbers that have special cases associated with them. They're either continental champions or they're foreign nationals. They do not count against that quota for the top 16 or the top 8 going into finals. This competition is here to select the U.S. national team, and those continental champions are actually already on the national team, so they do not count as we move through the competition in that regard.
And hopefully we'll have a chance to talk to the competitors before finals and just see how much of a motivation that is to be on the World Cup circuit.
Let's look at 19-year-old Andrew Nimmer from Pewaukee, Wisconsin. My hometown hero.
Yeah, that's right. And you have a special history with Andrew Nimmer.
Yeah, I've known Andrew since he was probably 5 years old. Climbed with him a lot. Used to coach him back in the day, back before he got good.
Are you saying he used to suck?
No.
Oh, okay.
He just, these kids, they go from being good to being insanely good.
Yeah.
In the blink of an eye. Andrew did really well at SCS Nationals last year. Now he's looking to improve on that this year and make his way into finals.
You know, I find that fun about these competitions. Almost every competitor has been to one of these before at least once, some many times, and it's really fun to track their progression. Yeah, this looks like a complicated route. Nobody has climbed quickly through the first few draws like they often do if it's straightforward climbing.
There's a lot of obtuse holds on the route that, like, they don't really dictate a real directional pull on them, you know?
That's right.
You see how bulbous the holds are.
Did you say bulbous?
Very bulbous. Not super straightforward. So we see Katie Lamb pulling off the ground on her semifinal route. Katie, another Massachusetts local here.
17 years old. You can hear the cheers from the crowd for Katie Lamb. It's great, a lot of local support. That's what's really fun about having these comps kind of all over the country. We draw in some local competitors who may not make it to other competitions. So it's fun to see climbers like Katie Lamb here with a strong local support. although she is one of those competitors that travels to climb. She was 2nd place in sport climbing in Chile and 3rd place in bouldering there as well.
Andrew Nimmer starting to get into the meat of this men's semifinal. That's why the men are really going to have to drop the hammer. I don't see many opportunities for rest from this point to the top of the route, and he's maybe halfway up the wall at this point. Going to see who has the stamina and the power.
This sequence just looks radical. I'm really excited to see. I thought these guys might be spinning around, but that toe hook looked pretty good from John BROSLER. Let's see if that works as well for Nimmer.
And like Chris said before, these climbers haven't seen anybody else on these routes. They don't know what the sequence is. They're figuring it out on the fly just based on their experience and how they read the route from the ground.
Yeah,
looks like Andrew's trying to do it the same way that John did, see if he can unwind where John was not able to.
Oh,
looks
wow.
pretty comfortable so far.
Really delicate movement.
But it's going to be hard to unwind. Taking his time.
Wow.
Andrew Nimmer not able to sort out that sequence.
Now that's going to be tough to decipher whose point was the highest on that, because it looks like they both were matching toes, matching hands.
Yeah, it was very close. I don't think
that'll be up to the
foot movements. Definitely don't count, but I think just depending on how the judges score their hand movements there, climbers do confer with the judge when they get down from the route and make sure everyone's on the same page with how they're scored.
Yep. But hopefully it won't come to that move. I imagine we'll be seeing some of the men here really soon getting past that section. Looks like a good rest on the women's route. Katie Lamb, at least, is really milking a rest. A good knee bar, actually, and there is an 8-minute time limit, which I don't think will come into play on these steep walls. If anyone can hold on for 8 minutes, that would be super impressive. But a good rest, it looks like, halfway up the women's route. We'll see who else can find that knee bar rest.
Yeah, she's climbing really deliberately right now. But this is where we've seen other climbers get tripped up.
She's looking very calm. Something hard to do when you're fighting a pump.
Katie Lamb setting a new high point for the women here in semifinals.
All right,
crowd's really starting to get behind her, Chris. She's climbing really well. Get that great angle from the Airwork Cinema guys.
She's already several moves higher than our previous highest competitor, making the next clip as well, which, as Brian pointed out, is not an option. They have to clip every quick draw.
Katie Lamb trying to come out and set a high point for the higher qualifiers coming after her. She's doing just that.
Wow, awesome.
Climbing really smart, Chris. See her adjusting her sequence, and nice effort from Katie Lamb. Really great climbing from her.
Michael O'Rourke is taking it on for the men here. He is, I want to say, one of the most powerful competitors here tonight. It wouldn't surprise me if he gets past that crux section that the other men have fallen on so far.
Even though Michael qualified a little bit low from qualifiers yesterday, be no surprise to see him make finals. Seems like the kind of route that might suit him a little bit better. Michael, a really strong and powerful climber, and this route definitely gets right to the point here, which I think would favor him. Michael, 20 years old, lives in Boulder, Colorado. Originally from the Midwest, though.
Looks like there's going to be two climbers from Boulder, Colorado on the wall at the same time. Megan Martin is just stepping up to the wall. If you haven't seen her on TV here, you've seen her on American Ninja Warrior. Michael is not looking stressed or pumped at all. We'll see if he can make it through this funky section.
Yeah, I think the sequence could be really favorable for Michael. He can sort it out because he just has that raw power. He's not going to have to rely as much on technique. See if you can see that power from Michael O'Rourke. Straight flexing for the crowd here. Central Rock in Watertown, Massachusetts. See him trying to sort out his feet. Oh, wow. I think that was just a mistake by him, Chris. He seemed like he rushed it a little bit and just thought that he might be able to hold that with one arm, and when it didn't work out, there was no other choice but to come off the wall.
I believe I detected a smile as he was falling off that route. I think he was actually having fun on that. How could you not? What a wild sequence. Meanwhile, Megan Martin of Boulder, Colorado is making her way up the women's semifinals route. She's like a local sweetheart, super friendly, always smiling, very strong climber, former gymnast. One of my personal faves, have to admit. Megan is 25 years old.
Chris, I would definitely say Megan struggled a little bit during qualifiers yesterday.
Yep.
We'll see how she does during semifinals here. She knows that this is the time to really turn it on.
That's right.
Try to get that spot in finals tonight.
Now let's see if she finds that knee bar rest. Oh, look at that. She slots it right in. No problem.
Looks like she's going to see
now,
how long
will
she
she
works.
rest on it? Katie Lamb actually rested right there for a while. Megan is choosing to skip that rest altogether.
Just like a boulderer would.
Exactly, yeah. Megan is more of a boulderer than a route climber.
We've got Andy Lamb starting on the men's semifinal down there. Andy's done really well. Competitions in the past, making finals at ABS Nationals, the bouldering national championship in 2014. Even though he qualified a little bit low. So you see Megan come off the wall. Andy's definitely a threat to make finals.
Megan looking like she had a pretty average run.
All right, Chris, as we get the semifinal underway, we're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere. You are watching the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. Welcome back to continuing live coverage of the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. And right back to our semifinal round here at Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts with Andy Lamb on his semifinal route. Nice of Andy to wait patiently during that commercial break.
That's right, as if on cue, he just took a rest for a while where no other guy has rested very long. Meanwhile, on the lower part of your screen, you're seeing Zoe Steinberg start up the women's semifinal route. Zoe is 18 years old here from the Northeast, New Jersey. There's a close-up shot of Zoe Steinberg.
See how Andy negotiates the sequence. First climber to kick his feet out before clipping. We'll see if he can.
Good point.
It's going to be, I think he might be climbing himself into a corner here.
Well, he's so far gotten further than anyone.
I think on the account of that clip not being made, each clip counts for a fractional number of points in these climbers' scores. Climbers get credit for each hold they control, plus positive movement towards the next holds, and each clip they make along the way. Remember, you can check unofficial live scores at lt11.tv throughout the semifinal round. SCSNationals.org is your home for all official results and event information as we move through this championship.
Now the women's route looks really interesting to me. There's a lot of slopers, which for smaller hands, which women tend to have, it's a challenging course. I think the first half is not too bad because a lot of the women now have gotten to about this point. The upper reaches, though, the very top of this wall, have not been touched yet by any female, and that is where the slopiest slopers lurk. So I'm really looking forward to these women continuing to keep climbing up this route. I want to see them get as high as possible. Looks like a very challenging sequence. A lot of moves. So far, it's looking like the men's route is really favoring a bouldering style, whereas the women's is heavily favoring endurance. Zoe Steinberg off the wall for a good effort there.
For the men, we have Austin Geiman, 28-year-old from Colorado Springs, Colorado. One of our older competitors, but very accomplished climber.
What are you saying about age, Brian? I don't think there's any problem with that.
I completely agree. That sentiment, Chris. Austin's made finals at ABS Nationals multiple times. Definitely a threat to make finals here tonight. We're looking to take the top 8 people from semifinals into our final tonight, which will be at 6:45 Eastern Time at LT11.tv. We're going to crown our national champion and dish out $20,000 in cash money.
That's right, you did hear that correctly. $20,000 is the purse that's going to some of these climbers tonight. You know, there's a soft spot in my heart, Brian, for seeing a climber with a bald spot starting on their head, because that's what I look like when I climb. Only mine might be a little bit bigger than that, but I do hope Austin can figure out that crux sequence.
Yeah, who will be the first man to sort out that sequence and get onto this head wall here at Central Rock? Austin Geiman definitely could be that guy. As we remind you that you can join the conversation all weekend on Twitter with the hashtag SCSNationals or on YouTube. A lot of people in there chatting about their favorite climbers. Really appreciate everyone out there tuning in, checking out this broadcast.
Claire Bresnan is starting up the ladies' route. 17-year-old from our favorite city name in the comp, Chevy Chase, Maryland. She's the current continental, or was the continental champion rather, in 2012, and she was in second place in last year's National Youth Bouldering Champs. Austin looking very composed. So far, so good.
Yeah, Austin's definitely one of the more veteran competitors here. He's been doing this for a long time. You don't get the impression that this really stresses him out.
Exactly. And I want to say his height might help him here on that kickover move to that tiny jib foothold.
See if he can figure out how to make this clip. Looks like he's just going to go right into it. That didn't work out too well for Andy Lamb, but see if Austin can sort it out.
Ooh, I wonder if he can clip from there. That would be wild.
Looks like he could.
It does.
Seems like
but I think he's going to clip from the pocket.
Seems like that pocket's relatively positive for a two-finger pocket.
On a 45-degree wall.
A little bit of an oxymoron. But Austin Geiman's making the 180.
Oh, yeah.
First male competitor to establish in that sequence. It's going to be a new high point for the men. And Austin Geiman, right when it looked like he was ready to push higher, comes off the wall. That is a confusing sequence for sure, Chris.
Yeah, you know what I want to know? What's the next move? I mean, is it just a pinch to that black triangle with your thumb on a hold? I mean, there are very few holds up there. That looks extremely difficult.
We'll see how our top male qualifiers fare on that a little bit later. Still got the top qualifiers to come. Names like Maddie Hong, Kai Leitner, Carla Traversi.
Oh, Claire Bresnan falling relatively low on the women's route.
Thanks to Brett out there on Twitter. Says working at the Rock Gym and watching SCS Nationals this morning. Seems like a good combination to me. Right back in the action here with Solomon Barth pulling onto the wall for the men. Solomon's 17 years old, Collegeville, Pennsylvania.
A straight A student, Solomon Barth.
Gonna try and ace the semifinal route.
Oh, I love it.
Starting to get a little bit of a bottleneck in that correct sequence on the men's route.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of a bottleneck. So far, all of our men who've made it that far, which are most of them, are falling off of roughly the same point, which could turn out to be brilliant if a few of the men get past that section.
Yeah, looking at our unofficial scores right now, Austin Geiman did set a high point there with his attempt. Andrew Nimmer in second place right now. Still a lot to be determined though. But like we said, this is the only route that's going to get these climbers into finals tonight at 6:45 Eastern. It's all or nothing in these rope climbing comps. No second chances. Still to come for the women, we have climbers like Sasha DeJulian, Alex Puccio, our two-time reigning national champion Delaney Miller. They'll be coming up before you know it, really. Action moves quick.
And it's tending to move a little quicker for the men than for the women. The women are climbing a little higher in general on their route than the men, and like we've said, they certainly have a lot more moves than the men. It looks like they're slightly easier moves, but wow, there sure are a lot of holds on that women's semifinal route.
And who is that on the women's route there, Chris?
That's Samantha Scharenberg.
Samantha, 18 years old, from Seattle, Washington.
Hometown, baby. Yeah.
Representing the US of A on her chalk bag. There are no style points in climbing, but there are in the broadcast booth.
I love to see the
on
stars and stripes.
Unofficial commentator scorecard.
That's right.
Solomon Barth trying to match the high point set by Austin Geiman. For the women, it's still Katie Lamb in first place at this point. Climbed really well.
All right, so let's see how Solomon does here. What's great about watching some of these climbers like Solomon right now is it looks like he's been on this route before. He's climbing it so well, so efficiently. Let's see if he can make this work.
He is going for the full inversion.
Oh my God, look at those biceps. Adhering him to the wall mysteriously.
Activating.
If he can make one more hand move, he's definitely going to make the high point. But what do you do now? Come on.
He's doing a nice job, though, of taking his time and trying to figure this out.
Oh, wow.
Really great effort from Solomon Barth there.
That was an exciting high point on this men's competition. We're almost halfway through already, the men's field, and it's exciting to see these guys get a little bit higher.
He definitely looked the most comfortable in that sequence.
Meanwhile, Samantha Scharenberg taking a rest here, eschewing the knee bar, but still getting a good undercling rest.
Oh, Samantha just reeling in that hold.
Oh, wow.
That's never a good sign when the climber kind of wobbling away from the wall like that, Chris.
Yeah, wobbling is not a good thing. Falling kind of low on the women's route, but we got to give them credit. I mean, I think the women who have gotten beyond that have just made really good, quick decisions. Surely it is very difficult right there. Our next woman up is going to be KAYLA LIEUW, 18-year-old from Potomac, Maryland.
And there's our next male competitor, Brendan Mitchell from Argyle, Texas, a 17-year-old. Decorated youth climbing career. Too long to list here. Long-time competitor, though, on the youth circuit. Feels like he's been around forever. Just 17 years old, though. Another one of those Team Texas proteges.
Yeah, what's up with Texas, man? It's like everybody in this comp is from Texas or Seattle, but the Texans really rule here. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they have a pretty incredible program down in Texas. Kyle Klinksdale just churning out champion after champion, especially in rope climbing.
Yep.
But Brendan definitely has his work cut out for him on this men's semifinal. I think these climbers, after the route group, knew they had to bring their best effort in semifinals here. See KAYLA LIEW there on the women's route, just getting underway. Women's route is about 10 moves longer than the men's route,
Which in about 45 or 50 feet is a lot of extra moves.
Yeah, it's significant. You know, the route setters are trying to get a little more separation for the women than they got yesterday. We did have 4 women complete both qualifiers.
Brendan Mitchell on the left is about to enter the crux sequence so far. I'm sure there's some harder moves up high, but we have not gotten a chance to see a single competitor pass this section. So see how he's doing here. They're all kind of winding up and unwinding slightly differently here. Oh, wow. He matched the pocket. That I never thought that would be part of the sequence. And it worked.
Wow. Brendan Mitchell trying to set a new high point for the men here in semifinals. He looks comfortable and uncomfortable at the same time. I think that foot out there is just not that good, but nice work by Brendan Mitchell.
Yep.
Moving into first place for the men. He looks like he's been on this route before.
Wow.
That's that competition experience we were talking about, though. Even though he's just 17 years old, he's been competing for a long time, and it's showing right here at SCS Nationals. Brendan Mitchell reeling in that pinch.
A high point by a mile here in this male competition.
He is way out in front right now.
Wow.
Will on his way to making finals. Trying to put it out of reach for the rest of the men's field. Incredible effort from Brendan Mitchell.
With a spectacular dyno to finish off his bid for finals, which I'm going to say that was one of the more impressive things I've seen here all weekend.
I'm going to pen him in for finals, Chris.
Yeah, I would say that's a fair thing to do. Meanwhile, KAYLA LIEW is here fighting up the pocket sequence, which has spit off a few ladies. She's doing very well. I'd like to see another woman get another body length or 2 higher on this route. And it looks like she has a chance. She definitely has a chance.
Yeah, KAYLA's nearing Katie Lamb's high point. One of the best efforts we've seen on this route thus far. Trying to pull her way onto the head wall here, just above her.
Oh.
Not able to sort that out, but nice work by her.
And, you know, it's funny. You can kind of predict when they're going to come off. You could just see the fatigue in her body, the sag, and that's just what happens. That was an awesome effort.
And just approaching the halfway point in the semifinal round here at the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. Remember to join the conversation using the hashtag SCSNationals, or check out the chat room on YouTube where it's blowing up about Brendan Mitchell's effort there on men's semifinal. Got a pair of interesting climbers stepping up. See Dalton Bunker there for the men. Dalton, the young climber, out of the Salt Lake City area out in Utah. And for the women, we're going to have 5-time national champion Emily Harrington stepping onto the wall in just a moment.
I'm particularly excited to watch Emily because not only is she hometown favorite in Boulder, Colorado, but she sure is the most experienced female competitor, yet it's been a while since she's competed. It's been a number of years. However, like Brian said, she did win SCS Nationals in 04, 05, 06, 08, and 09. The only reason she didn't win in 07 was she didn't make it to the comp. She's certainly a force to be reckoned with. We spoke to her earlier, and she did sound a little nervous, but I'm sure everybody is here for this competition tonight.
See Dalton moving quickly up the semifinal route. Dalton had a really nice showing at ABS Nationals last month in Madison, Wisconsin. Did really well in the qualifiers there. Sputtered a little bit during semifinals. See if he can move his way into finals here at SCS Nationals today in Watertown, Massachusetts. Looking very comfortable so far.
Emily's goal for this whole competition is just to make it to the finals round. This climb right now that she's on is going to determine everything for her, and it goes even beyond this competition, Brian. She has publicly set 4 very difficult goals for herself this year, and one of those 4 climbing goals in 4 different disciplines of our sport was to simply make it to the finals of SCS Nationals. And if anybody has the mental fortitude to just really stick with something and the experience to back it up, it's Emily Harrington, who we're seeing right now trying to make goal number 1 for her year.
Now that we know this section is possible, see how Dalton Bunker does.
Oh, he's struggling. You can see it in his face. He's fighting for it, but he hasn't made the clip. The rope is around his neck. We'll see how this works out for him.
That's an extremely taxing sequence. Oh, Dalton.
Wow. I think he just did a cartwheel
spin cycle.
That was awesome.
Nice effort from Dalton Bunker. And that's what really is impressive about Brendan Mitchell's effort, though, on that route, Chris, is that we've seen most of the men get to that point and struggle, and then Brendan just climbed right through it like it was no big deal.
That's right. Speaking of no big deal, looks like Emily's face is remaining calm. It looks like she's struggling a little, but she knows better than to start stressing out. You start to overgrip when you stress out. And I think Emily is a master at staying calm, staying focused. And even though she's nervous tonight, just like everyone is, I'm rooting for her. She's 28 years old, our oldest female competitor.
She's got to be up there. Hard to believe 28 is old, but
I know.
Some of these women are
tell me about it,
15 and 16 years old. Didn't even know what climbing was when Emily was winning national championships.
I bet you she'll find the knee bar. Yep, sure enough. She is a seasoned Rifle, Colorado climber. And if you know anything about climbing at Rifle, one of those things is going to be that it's the land of knee bars. They used to call that back in the day the Colorado Atria, as in an aid climbing technique. But whatever. Emily's making it through. I'm actually surprised she didn't stay a little longer at that knee bar rest. She seems to have just kind of slipped it in and move on. She's going to have to make it past these pockets, I think. Oh. Yes, I think she was going to have to make it past those pockets to get to finals.
We'll see. We still have a lot of...
That's an unofficial estimate, but we'll see.
A lot of top climbers still to come. We're about halfway through the semifinal round. Take a quick break. You are watching the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. We'll be right back.
For EP, climbing walls and handholds is our business, but that's really not why we're here. We're here to enrich people's lives and introduce climbing to the world. We know that once somebody gets an opportunity to go indoors and climb on a climbing wall, that they're going to be hooked and they're going to be a climber for life.
Welcome back to the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. Brian Runnells and Chris Weidner here with you at Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts. As our semifinal round rolls on, got two of our East Coast climbers on the wall. Jesse Grupper for the men there on the left, Bimini Horseman for the women on the right. And Chris, both these climbers were people I think both you and I hadn't really heard of before, and they really impressed both of us during qualifiers yesterday.
That's right. They're here in the middle of the semifinal field, which, again, yeah, was a surprise. Bimini, it was great. Her crowd support last night, she's from Newton, Massachusetts, was palpable. Everybody yelling her name, which is a unique name, and I kind of like it. It's grown on me. Bimini. I want to know what that means.
That means her. This will be Jessie, 18-year-old climber out of Montclair, New Jersey. Jessie had a really strong showing during qualifiers yesterday. Really difficult men's field. Challenging pair of qualifier routes for the men yesterday. A lot of bruised egos.
Yeah, and a challenging semifinal route so far as well. No tops yet for either climb, for men or women. And for the men, only one guy has made it past slightly over halfway up the wall.
Remember, we are whittling this field of 20 competitors down to our top 8 finalists for finals tonight. 6:45 Eastern. It'll be on LT11.tv. It's also where you can check out unofficial live scores right now from the semifinal round. See where your favorite climber is ranked.
And here go the cheers from the crowd again for Bimini. You can hear all of the local support, which is really one of the things I love most about these local competitions, is that it draws a lot of cool climbers that we may not have heard of before, yet the spirit and their drive is such that they're making it up the wall. Bimini's doing great over there. Let's see if she figures out this knee bar.
Yeah, she looks a little bit uncomfortable, but she's still climbing well, doing what she needs to do.
Meanwhile, Jesse's starting the incredible crux sequence of this route that is only yielded to one climber so far.
Nice smooth clip though. See if he can sort out this. Really struggling to get his left hand in the right position with his feet.
God, this just
in the way.
Defines body tension. Look at those moves.
Activating, trying to power through this Jessie Grupper. Might as well cop a rest. Right in the middle of the crux.
Meanwhile, Bimini fighting for it as well. She's fighting for every single move, but she's still making her way up the wall.
And every hold counts here. This is where Emily Harrington fell.
Bimini's stalled out.
Yeah, that's not where you want to be as a climber. Wasn't quite sure what to do about that clip, and that's going to be it for Bimini Horseman. Nice showing from her this weekend.
And meanwhile, Jesse is resting on what appear to be the worst holds on the route so far. I don't know what he's thinking or doing, but it seems to be working.
He's just not quite sure what he wants to do. He wants to go way out right. Nice work by Jessie Grupper.
Wow.
Right into second place. Trying to match the high point from Brendan Mitchell. Jessie climbing really well. Jessie Grupper getting the crowd behind him here at Central Rock.
Nice. That looks like such a horrible hold, and I believe he has to clip from it.
Oh, great effort from Jessie Grupper.
That was amazing.
Going to put him in second position just over halfway through this semifinal round with our top qualifiers still to come. Starting to get into that list here right now, actually. We have Rob D'Anastasio up next for the men. Sydney Trinidad there for the women. Eyeing up her route, giving a little bit of a preview. And Chris, you're a pretty experienced rope climber. When you step up to a route like this, what are you looking for from the ground? What are you trying to figure out before you start climbing.
One of the main things you want to figure out, Brian, is just your basic hand sequence. I think that's the most important thing to figure out immediately. They did have a chance to look at these routes before they step up to the base of the wall, but hopefully they were able to figure out their hand sequence. Another very important thing to look for, especially in a competition like this, is a clipping hold, because they cannot skip clips here. If their feet get past a clip that they have not made, they will be instantly disqualified. So it's pretty intimidating when you're at the base of that wall looking up. You need to think about your clips, your handholds, and of course, footholds are just as important, but those are a little bit easier to intuit as you're heading up the wall. I'm excited here to watch Rob D'Anastasio. He's another boulder climber, our oldest male competitor at 31 years old. He could go either way. I want to say he could be our best so far, or not.
Yeah, Rob, I think, was frustrated with how he climbed during qualifiers yesterday, even though he qualified in the top 10. Showed a lot of emotion.
Showed a lot of emotion. That's right. He threw a freaking wobbler when he fell off. And yeah, we'll see what happens here. I'm excited. I expect to hear some screaming out of Rob.
See Sydney Trinidad there, 16 years old, from Seattle, Washington. She's a current continental champion.
Seattle, baby.
Means that she did win her division at a continental climbing championship.
Sydney is on Team Vertical World, a climbing gym that I worked at for about 5 years back in the Mesopotamian era.
Before Sydney was born. Sydney, another one of these experienced competitors, though only 16 years old, but wealth of experience to draw on. Would not be surprised to see her establish a new high point in this women's semifinal.
Robbie D's looking strong and composed so far. A lot's riding on this for him. He knows that he is not going to be able to keep competing in these forever. And as the oldest competitors so far, he knows that he's running on limited time here, so he wants this bad. There's no doubt he wants it. He's been training hard.
Sydney Trinidad approaching the crux sequence of this women's semifinal. Looking very comfortable, perching her feet there, making that quick clip very quickly. Approaching the high point set by KAYLA LIEUW and Katie Lamb, which is just right around the head wall, just out of the screen there. See if she can set a new high point for the women.
Impressive that she was resting on those pockets where other women had been lunging to.
Sydney Trinidad, comes off right around the same point that KAYLA and Katie came off. We'll see how that gets scored by the judges. She did not make that clip. Each of the clips do count, part of these competitor scores.
Robbie D kicking that foot. Let's see how he deals with this. We only have seconds to find out probably what's going to happen through this sequence.
Crowd's starting to get behind Rob D'Anastasio.
Their faces are all just so contorted in this sequence.
I did not expect to see Rob hang out here and rest like some of the other competitors. And
there's that scream, as if on cue. That was an awesome fight from Rob D'Anastasio, and so far that does put him up in just the top, I want to say the top 4 or 5 men.
Yeah, a lot of climbers did fall right in that same area. I think the difference we've noticed when Brendan and Jesse got past that part is that they really took their time when they got in that sequence.
Yep.
They were able to rest up a little bit and sort out how they wanted to maneuver their hands to get through that tricky crux sequence there. Rob D'Anastasio not able to do that here.
You know, also the other guys figured out to go with their right hand to the lower and further away handhold, actually. And it looked like Rob made a route finding error there, going up to the higher hold. But there really isn't much of a hold there at all.
Remember, you can check out unofficial live scores at LT11.tv. Tops are the most important criteria, then followed by ranking points. Lower is better. It means you ranked higher on this semifinal route than your competitors.
Melina Costanza starting up the wall. She's a 15-year-old from Seattle, one of our very youngest competitors, because they have to turn 16 in the calendar year. So the youngest we could possibly have here at this competition tonight are 15-year-olds, of which Melina is one. Cruising easily through the intro climbing on the women's semifinals route.
And Chris looking at some unofficial scores right now. Brendan Mitchell, Jesse Grupper, Solomon Barth, the top three for the men. For the women, Katie Lamb, Kayla Lieuw, and Sydney Trinidad in the top three right now, but we still have our top qualifiers still to come. Be very surprised if those results hold through the rest of the semifinal, but you never know.
Never know.
That's why they play the game.
Melina looking light and graceful. So far, this is not an issue for her. The great thing about some of these strong competitors when they're only 15 is that we're going to see her for the next several years, that's for sure, if not a lot more than that.
For the men there, we have Garrett Greger pulling onto the wall, 28-year-old climber from Boulder, Colorado. Coach out there with Team ABC. Garrett's one of the more dynamic, powerful climbers you see in the men's field. Love to watch Garrett climb. Should be fun to see him on the crux sequence up there.
Melina taking that rest that almost all the women have taken advantage of in some form or another.
Garrett Greger looking very smooth so far. Remember, we were trying to take our top 8 competitors for semifinals into the finals tonight. That'll be live at 6:45 Eastern Time at LT11.tv. It's where we're going to crown our national champion tonight. Dish out $20,000 in cash prizes.
Nice. Melina making that tough move to the first pocket. And she's not looking stressed at all. She is a fun climber to watch.
See a really nice technique there from Melina, using her body to twist right hip, left hip, cruising her way up the wall. Not quite sure what she wants to do with that clip, though.
You can see the Burl Master in the background there, like hanging from a one arm and falling off.
So now we've seen a lot of the women fall in that position there,
Wow.
Chris. But they're not quite sure what to do with that clip, and then they just try to lunge over the head wall.
Yeah.
And those holds are not forgiving. As Melina and Garrett Greger both falling at the same time. Nearing our top 5 qualifiers. For the women, we're going to have 3-time national champion Sasha DeJulian coming out next. Sasha qualified in 6th position for semifinals today. Oh, excuse me. Thank you, Chris. Claire Burfind is up next. Sasha waiting in the wings. She's on deck.
On deck. Up next, yeah, Claire Burfind.
Do not want to skip her.
Certainly a favorite. Another one of the Texas Strong Mo's, our tallest female at 5'11", winner of the Seco Block comp over the summer, and she's decorated by many, many competition podiums. Definitely a favorite to possibly win this evening. Claire Burfind, one to watch, and still only 16 years old.
Reminder that you can join the conversation all weekend on Twitter using the hashtag SCSNationals. Let us know where you're watching from, who you're cheering for.
Mike Foley, a 24-year-old from Lincoln, Massachusetts, starting up the wall.
Mike, one of the best sport climbers in the country. Climbed some of the hardest routes in the country out at Rumney. Quietly, one of our top qualifiers here yesterday.
And by top sport climbers, Brian's talking about a 5'15" rock climber. That's right. As Brian said yesterday, probably the only 5'15" climber, rather, you've never heard of.
And there's Claire, there's Claire Burfine.
Conveniently, her tights seem to match the holds.
It's good coordination, Chris.
That's perfecto.
It's hard to say that Claire struggled yesterday, but I was a little surprised to see on the more vertical qualifier right from the women, she struggled a little bit, fell a little lower than you might have expected.
That's right. You know, in climbing, we often talk about what's a person's particular style that they're best at, and I would have to say that for Claire, this route is going to suit her a lot better than the qualifying vertical route did.
Yeah, I agree completely. I would not be surprised to see her set a new high point for the women. I think she's a little more at home on these overhanging walls. Deceptively steep here at Central Rock. Doesn't look like it from this angle, but these walls are relentlessly steep, which I think suits most of these competitors just fine.
That's right. Claire's a speed climber as well, and it looks like her speed climbing is serving her right now. She's actually climbing this, I think, so far, I'm going to say, faster than anyone has yet, and she's looking comfortable and confident. Meanwhile, Mike Foley is just starting the crux of the men's route.
Mike looking very comfortable.
Claire appearing to struggle a little bit, actually, down low. She's looking a little stressed out, which is a little surprising.
Yeah, you can see she's not really breathing. Makes climbers get tense.
And there's Mike doing the contorted crux of the men's route easily so far.
See if he can start out this sequence like Brendan Mitchell and Jesse Grupper did.
Now that's the same thing that Rob D did, and I don't think that's the right sequence.
Yeah,
that right handhold is nothing. There's only a thumb.
Definitely not the way you want to grab that, but I think that's still going to be a good scoring point hold for Mike Foley. As we focus in on Claire Burfine, nearing high point for the other women thus far in semifinals.
Easily making it through the pocket sequence that has stymied some other ladies. We're both expecting Claire, I think, to get pretty high up on this route.
Yep, there we go. Claire Burfine setting a new high point for the women here in semifinals. She's going to be in the final tonight.
For sure, she is looking relaxed now. It's almost as if it took the first half of the route to get her into her groove, and now she's shining.
There's our first competitor to pull on this head wall.
A slow-mo fail. However, she did make it higher than anyone else, so she is our top place finisher so far.
Great job by Claire Burfine.
As you've pointed out, Brian, we are heading into the meat of things in terms of our competitor list, especially for the women. We'll remind you that the top 4 women here tonight tied yesterday. So we are looking for the separation between these ladies, and we got some big names coming up for you in both the men and the women. Right now, Elan Jonas McRae starting for the men.
Elan's one of our foreign competitors from Canada. He's not eligible to be national champion, but he still can win this competition. He could very well do that. Elan is an incredibly accomplished climber. Another one of those quiet crushers like Mike Foley. Don't hear a lot about him.
That's right.
You just hear whispers about his accomplishments, but make no mistake, he is a crusher. 20 years old, British Columbia, Canada. And there's Sasha DeJulian for the women.
And we'll remind you that as Sasha's stepping up here, there's a lot at stake here at this competition. This is where we crown our national champion. We're doing that tonight. This is the team that represents the United States on the entire world stage. All of these women and all of these men want to be on that national team so they can represent us in the World Cup competitions. Sasha DeJulian's certainly a favorite. She's already on the U.S. team, but she still wants this competition bad. She's a former champion. She won in 2010, 11, and 12, 3 in a row.
Yeah, looking to regain that form that she had a few years back, trying to take back the title from Delaney Miller, who's won the last 2 years, and who is still to come in the semifinal. Right now, all eyes on Sasha DeJulian. See her scoping out the holds.
Sasha topped out one of the 2 women's routes last night. So she was not one of the top 4 who tied, topping out both, but she certainly has an excellent chance of doing well here. In the background there, you can see Elan getting poised to begin the sequence that has proven the most difficult so far. Such an interesting sequence for the men. They're upside down. We've seen spinning cartwheels off the wall. We've seen it all here. We've seen someone even match their 2 fingers in that pocket. And for the first time, we're seeing Elan. He's actually climbing down to rest again after feeling that pocket. It just must not be that good.
And he's really measuring this out, Chris.
Yeah. Well, it's one thing to even have the energy to be able to down climb and measure it out. And so far, he's proving to have that energy.
That's just really smart climbing by him. He doesn't know what these next holds are like. He doesn't know if he's going to be able to get any energy back, so he's trying to get as much rest as he can before he embarks on this sequence. Right now, he's looking pretty good.
Nice.
Making use of both sides of that volume. I think if he can get on these crimps, he's going to really excel. That's what he's known for.
So far, the successful sequence for the men has been to go with the right hand further right, not straight up, which could be looking like the obvious choice for him. I think he wants to go right with his right hand. We'll see. Meanwhile, Sasha in the pockets. Elan has chosen the sequence that has worked for other guys. Like you've said, a very smart climber.
Yeah, he looks really in control right now.
Sasha's starting to look around. Her eyes are darting. She's not sure what to do.
Yeah, she does not look comfortable right now. She knows that each hold matters. Climbers get credit for each hold they control.
Oh, she's fighting hard. She wants it. She really wants it. She knows she's off sequence. Correcting that. And there goes Sasha, still fighting. That's amazing.
Yeah. Nice effort from Sasha DeJulian, not able to figure out that sequence. Put here near the top of the pack with our top qualifiers still to come. We have our top 5 qualifiers still to come here at semifinals. Take a quick break. You are watching the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. We'll be right back.
As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me.
Welcome back, everyone, to continuing live coverage of the 2015 SCS Open National Championships presented by the North Face. Brian Runnells and Chris Weidner are still here with you at Central Rock Gym in Watertown, Massachusetts, as we have our getting into our top 5 qualifiers from yesterday's qualifiers.
Things are really heating up here inside while it's snowing outside here in Watertown, Massachusetts. You're looking at Mohammed Jafari starting up the wall for the very, very difficult and cruxy men's final.
And there's Kyra Connie for the women. KAYLA just outside of that top pack of women that finished both qualifiers yesterday.
Muhammad is 30 years old, from Iran, living in Golden, Colorado now.
Yeah, Muhammad actually won the ABS National Championship last month in Madison, Wisconsin. Came out of nowhere, shocked everybody, including Daniel Woods. Winning first place at ABS Nationals. See if he can do the same here at SCS Nationals. Be an incredible story. It is a rare feat to win both ABS Nationals and SCS Nationals in the same year. In fact, Daniel Woods is the only climber that's ever done it, as far as we're aware.
It'd be even more interesting if it was a foreign national, so he wouldn't even take the actual title.
That's a good point, Chris. Since we are here to crown a national champion, the foreign competitors are not eligible to win that national championship. So they can win the comp, but they will not be crowned national champion or be on the U.S. national team for obvious reasons. But it is always exciting to see the foreign competitors here add a little bit of a dynamic dimension to the competition.
That's right. Both competitors right now look like they're working for it. And they should be. These are both very, very difficult routes. Muhammad is now entering what has proven to be the most difficult portion of the climb. KAYLA's just getting to a rest. We'll see if she takes it.
Yeah, one thing's been clear with Muhammad's climbing, he's a really strong technical climber. He's able to figure out tricky sequences, so we'll see how he does on that men's semifinal there. He's trying some unearthly beta.
Now that is what when I first looked at this, I thought that's what guys would do, but I think those slopers are just not good enough for them to hold on to. I think the toe hook beta is the way.
Good effort from Muhammad, though. Great to see him here at SCS Nationals on the heels of his ABS Nationals victory, as we focus in on 18-year-old KAYLA Condi from Shoreview, Minnesota. Blasting past that crux sequence on the women's route, trying to match the high point from Claire Burfine.
She's looking great up there. So far, no competitor, male or female, has topped out these walls. KAYLA's getting close, though.
KAYLA quickly going into second position, looking to make it into finals tonight. This is definitely going to put her on the path to finals, see if she can match the high point from Claire and drive by.
That hold has proven to spit off the only other competitor that gotten up there. And I got to say, Brian, the next few holds look even worse than that one. I'd be surprised if we see anyone get to the top of that route.
I think that's definitely going to put KAYLA into the final, though, tonight. Looking to take the top 8 climbers, with some caveats, Chris, in the finals tonight. Any climber that's a continental champion or foreign national will not count against that total, so we likely will have more than 8 competitors in finals tonight. We'll sort that all out, though, tonight at 6:45 Eastern Time. Be able to check out all the finals action. As we're getting our 4th place qualifiers out for the men and the women. Bringing him out of isolation there behind this wall. Towering wall, really, at Central Rock. See Noah Ridge, our 2nd place finisher from last year's SCS Nationals. Finished on the podium the last couple years. Would not be surprised to see him win this competition this year.
That's right, he definitely has a chance. There's only a handful of guys that could win this, and he is definitely one of them. Delaney Miller stepping up to the wall. Delaney is our defending SCS national champion. She is known for climbing very slow yet very deliberate, and her precision, her accuracy with her feet and her hands is remarkable. I expect that this endurance-oriented women's route will serve her well. Delaney is 19 years old, another Texas strong-mo, 5'3", and maybe our only competitor under 100 pounds. Weighing in at a lean 96 there. She's also a champion runner, holding several school records for the mile, 2 mile, and 5K.
Getting a good look at both these climbers, negotiating the early sequences on these semifinal routes. Moves we've become very familiar with at this point, Chris.
Yeah. God, it's just amazing. This is a perfect view right now. You can see the contrast in style, the powerful Noah Ridge there kind of bouncing his way up the wall, and the very, very deliberate, fluid Delaney Miller.
Yeah, there's no false moves by her. Everything's measured.
Even her clips are slow. But it works for her.
Yeah, the results speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Two-time defending champion.
I personally think she's just beautiful to watch climb. She's just so precise. She knows exactly what she's doing, and she just doesn't ever look stressed out. Her face is always looking calm.
And that's really important. We've seen some of the other women look stressed out, not moderating their breathing, and that's really important in climbing. You need to be relaxed and able to, keep yourself kind of mentally relaxed and focused on what you're doing.
And speaking of facial expressions, this part of the men's route is one of the most interesting.
It's generated some interesting expressions.
Face shots we've seen. All of the men seem to be struggling and gritting their teeth on this brutal sequence.
Oh, Noah Ridge falling pretty low there. That's going to put him on the bubble, I think. He didn't get that clip. That's definitely surprising to see. So we focus in on Delaney Miller. Moving very smoothly through this section that's stymied a lot of the women so far. I think she's just going to pull right over this lip. Throwing a heel hook.
There's no doubt we're going to see Delaney at the finals tonight, which is at 6:45 p.m. Eastern Time. Please tune in for that.
Tell a friend, bring a friend, let everyone you know. You do not want to miss that final round. I think Delaney Miller's going to definitely be in that final.
I am curious if she can hold this hold, it will be a high point. And
this is where her style really pays off, Chris.
That is a non-issue.
Super controlled and smooth from Delaney Miller.
I think I might eat my words on this one. I just said that I'd be surprised if anyone topped it out, and here we are. Delaney
has got one more hold. Delaney Miller, our two-time national champion, coming out in semifinals, topping out the women's semifinal, making it look easy. She will be in the final tonight. Look for Delaney Miller to be defending her national championship.
Super impressive. She was not even fatigued. At least it appeared that way. We are now moving into the top 3 places here, people. We only have 3 women left, 3 men left, vying for a spot on the national team. This is where everything gets exciting because they only have one shot to make it into the finals. And here's Carlo Traversi, a favorite for sure.
He's already almost made a mistake there. But Carlo, the seasoned competitor, I think he's won nationals a couple times in the past, or excuse me, he's at least been national champion a couple times in the past. So Carlo knows how to maneuver his way through these qualifying rounds, semifinal rounds.
Fresh off of a 5:14D red point in Colorado, Kryptonite. Here's Carlo playing his hand again. He won in 2009 here and 2011. Let's see if he can do the same in 2015.
Action starting to heat up on Twitter. A lot of people tweeting with the hashtag SCSNationals, cheering on their favorite competitors. Also in the chat room on YouTube, letting us know who people are rooting for. Love to see everyone tuning in all weekend long. Do not forget to tune in for finals night at 6:45 Eastern Time. It's going to be a great show.
I talked about precision a little bit with Delaney Miller. I want to say, though Carlo has a very different style of climbing, he's also very, very precise. He will grab a hold and he'll keep it there. He'll place a toe and keep it there. A lot of climbers kind of wobble around a little bit. Carlo is a very, very calculated climber. You can just tell by the way he moves.
Yeah, Carlo climbs with a lot of confidence, a lot of fluidity to what he does on the wall.
Margot Hayes is now stepping up to the wall. From Boulder, Colorado, she's on Team ABC, and Margot is relatively fresh off of a back injury.
Yeah, it was surprising to see how well she did yesterday, given that just a few months ago she broke her back in a weird bouldering fall.
Carlo here tackling the men's very powerful, confusing sequence. He has not yet clipped, which unwrapping the rope around his neck.
That's always a priority.
Let's see if he can get this clip so he can move on, because his sequence, he's going to have to go right.
You can see him
not a problem.
Efforting pretty hard there. I think he's back on track. He sees what he wants to do. We've seen the other competitors that have gotten through this look pretty comfortable. Carlo looking pretty comfortable as well. He's no stranger to climbing on these volumes. Long-time route setter.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen anyone else rest like Carlo is at that spot. Very impressive. We mentioned this yesterday, but these routes, these walls, are much steeper than they appear. When you stand at the base of these walls, you're looking straight out with your back to the wall. You're not looking up.
And this is where Carlo's really going to excel. He loves these pinches. Trying to match the high point sent by Brendan Mitchell earlier in the semifinal round. Just a couple more moves to match that high point. This should put Carlo Traversi into the final. You can see him starting to get a little Elvis leg going on.
He's trying hard. Oh, this is excellent. I love it when the strongies are even working for it. This is great.
Carlo Traversi getting near that high point from Brendan Mitchell.
Absolutely brilliant by Carlo Traversi. Meanwhile, Margot Hayes is taking a rest here on the women's route. Only 2 more men and 3 more women, including Margot Hayes right here. You know she wants it bad. She had a compression fracture that she actually got at a Pan Am bouldering championship on the first problem in qualifiers. She has recovered, obviously, well enough to be competing very well in this comp. She seemed positive, really excited, and she's looking calm right now where it turns on here on this women's route.
Margot Hayes trying to punch her ticket to finals tonight. Needs to get past this section coming up where a lot of the women have fallen. It's gonna.
Right here is where Sasha DeJulian fell off. Margot, though, is able to make that clip and keep moving on. She will definitely be in the finals now. She's gritting her teeth, though. You can tell she's trying.
This is where this women's route really starts to turn on. We've only seen a few competitors make it past this point, like Claire Burfine and Delaney Miller, who just finished it. See if Margot can do this part with the same level of control that Delaney exhibited. Proved to be key for Delaney Miller.
A big crowd here screaming her name, encouraging her to the top of the wall. Let's see if she can pull it off.
She's looking very comfortable, though, right now, Chris. Not panicking in any way, but, oh, wow. Only, it's kind of hard to believe that Delaney Miller made that section look so easy, as we've seen some of the other strong women not able to sort that move out, but nice work by Margot Hayes.
It might be worth mentioning that the reason we're watching these competitors fall so far is because the belayers are intentionally giving them a very soft catch. So when they fall off, they're basically at the same time being lowered to the ground. So it's a little alarming, actually, to watch these people fall so far, but no worries. It's all in the plan. Kai Leitner stepping up for the men. We only have 2 men to go. Kai Leitner, certainly a favorite. He's the youth world champion, and we're seeing what he can do now here tonight at SCS.
Yeah, Chris, this is Kai's first Open National Championship. He's only 15 years old. First year he's been eligible. He's making waves in his first SCS National Championship. Definitely a favorite to win. But in order to win, you got to make it into finals. Kai climbing out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, not known as being a climbing hotbed.
One thing I've seen in Kai from the past is he's one of the few competitors who really seems to enjoy the actual climbing. I think he has fun when he's going up. Right now, he had a smile on his face. I love watching him climb because he enjoys it. I'm sure all of these people are are enjoying it in some way, but the truth is you're pretty stressed out when you're on these walls. And Kai doesn't appear that way. Alex Puccio is getting set up. She's just rehearsing the sequence quickly before stepping onto the wall. She is certainly...
Who is this Alex Puccio? I've never heard of her.
Yeah, you know, I forgot to intro her. Alex Puccio.
Tell me something about her, Chris.
Well, I'll tell you that she's one of the strongest humans on planet Earth.
Gonna get a rare look at Alex Puccio with a harness on.
You know, I just talked to Alex in ISO. She said she trained for approximately 7 days on a rope before this, as opposed to her normal routine of bouldering. 7 days, though, the point being that most of these people have been training for years on a rope. Alex is strong enough she can go straight from bouldering to looking poised and confident on a rope.
You see Kai Leitner entering the crux sequence of this men's semifinal. Getting the obligatory chalk up. See if he can figure out this move.
Wow.
Not bad for Kai Leitner.
Very smooth.
Went from looking extremely stressful to extremely easy in a blink of an eye there.
Sometimes these lanky competitors like Kai kind of don't do as well in these really tension-y sequences, but Kai just mastered that.
And he just glided right through that. Didn't even bother to stop and rest like some of the other competitors who've gotten through that section. He looks very comfortable right now, high in this men's semifinal. Trying to punch his ticket for the final round tonight. Well on his way to doing just that. Not many of the men have gotten this high. Just a couple, like Carlo Traversi, who just went. Trying to match the high point from Brendan Mitchell.
Those pinches look vicious. Oh, wow. He is resting where our other competitors were fighting for their life. So far, no competitor has been able to make the move above that clip and control the sloper. We'll see what Kai can do.
That was really smart there, Chris. I think he recognized that it's going to be hard to clip after that point. See if he can become the first competitor to control this next hold. 15-year-old Kai Leitner making it look easy until it isn't. Great effort from Kai Leitner. That's going to put him right near the top of the pack for the men. Going to get him into that finals. We check back in with Alex Puccio, who is the 9-time bouldering national champion.
Wait, say that again? 9 times.
Niner. There's a niner in there.
There's a niner. And I imagine that so far all of the moves have been boring for Alex Puccio. She is so strong. I don't know. We'll see what kind of challenge this route presents for her, if any.
Yeah, we got a good look at Alex in qualifiers yesterday, and neither of the routes really seemed to challenge her at all, which is maybe a little surprising since like we talked about, she doesn't rope climb all that much, but when you've got this much power,
yeah, it
makes everything a little bit easier.
Wow.
kind of like that.
Cutting the feet where other competitors have been fighting. You know, I talked to her in ISO, and she seemed a little more stressed about her super early flight out on Sunday than she was about the actual climbing here today. And it's showing.
We'll see if the route setters can stress her out at all in this top section. That's given a lot of the women trouble. Don't expect this move to give her much trouble. You can see just the precision and accuracy in her moves. Not looking tired at all. Alex Puccio making it look easy once again here at SCS Nationals. See if she can get that sloper.
Oh!
Looked like she just wasn't quite ready for the hold to be as bad as it was. Very difficult to see from below. The hold, I think, actually looks better from below than it is. You can see in that top-down shot, the hold is pretty miserable. So it looks like she was surprised by that a little bit.
Well, you know, I was too, Brian. A surprise ejection there from Puccio. What we're looking at now is Matty Hong, who was the only male to top either route in yesterday's qualifiers. Certainly a crowd favorite, though. We were talking about earlier, he does have the history of not following through on his results. We'll see if he can make it up past that crux section today. There's a good chance he'll make finals. He's certainly strong enough and good enough.
And Chris, checking some unofficial results on LT11.tv. Kai Leitner in first place on the strength of his performance there. Brendan Mitchell, Carlo Traversi, Jesse Grupper, Elan Jonas McRae in the top 5 right now. Be sure to check out SCSNationals.org for official results once the semifinal round is over.
Matty has climbing in his genes. His father, Steve, is 60 years old and still climbing 514.
Yeah, he could be in this competition.
I know. That's right. Matty so far taking it easy.
See if Matty can keep the momentum going from yesterday's qualifiers. Matty did finish 5th last year at SCS Nationals. He's finished on the podium in the past, so he's no stranger to finals.
He has been dealing with a knee injury for the past 9 months or so. It doesn't appear to be slowing him down yet. Look at him crimping the edge of that sloper. Trying to decide whether to go up to the left hold or the right hold. The right hold has proven to be the good choice. We'll see if he makes it. Yes, he does.
Making good choices. That's what Matty Hong's known for.
I'd like to know more about that, Brian.
We'll talk off air. Nice climbing from Matty Hong. Just skipping holds. See if he can sort out that clip.
All right.
Reeling in that pinch.
Wow.
Showing that power, it's made him one of the best sport climbers in the country.
Vice grips he has for hands.
Looking smooth right now for Matty Hong. Trying to match Kai Leitner's high point. Kai was the only climber to clip right here. See if Matty can be the only climber to secure this next hold. What on earth is he grabbing right now?
I know.
Oh. Nice effort from Matty Hong.
Amazing
Our top
effort.
qualifier from yesterday's qualifier. Near the top during the semifinal round. Be seeing him in finals later tonight.
And right now,
excuse me, Chris, at 6:45 Eastern tonight. Do not miss that at LT11.tv.
as you just saw, Grace McKeon, a 16-year-old from Texas, one of the top 4 finalists from yesterday. She's 5'2". And actually, correction, I said earlier that Delaney was probably our lightest competitor. Grace is also in the double digits. 90 pounds. 90 pounds. She's looking very, very, very strong. Grace is our last competitor tonight, and we will reiterate that this is a very important competition for everyone here tonight, because this competition is what decides the national team, the makeup for the USA national team. And anyone who wants a chance of going to the World Cup competitions will have to be on that team in the top 4 finishers tonight per gender.
And Chris, looking at the unofficial results from the women, shaking out to be really interesting. Names like Sasha DeJulie and Emily Harrington on the bubble for finals right now.
Yeah, what do you think about Emily Harrington's chances of making it?
Looks like she's in 12th place right now with Grace still to climb. She's going to be right on that bubble. There are a lot of continental champions in the women's field who will not count against that 8-climber quota for finals. Delaney Miller in first place right now. Claire Burfine, Kyra Condi, Margot Hayes, Alex Puccio right behind her. Claire, Kyra, Margot, and Alex are all tied right now. See how Grace can stack up against those top women.
I imagine she'll do really well. She's a fighter. I've appreciated that now. Seeing Grace compete several times, she's a fighter. And so far, she doesn't have to tap into that. I wonder if she will.
Seeing a big difference in this women's field, though. A lot of the women struggled here. Goodness, we got these top qualifiers out showing their skill.
Tough clip there. Oh, Tough clip. She
Oh, wow.
just barely made it before getting spit off the wall.
That's going to put her near the bubble as well, Chris. That
Yeah,
was a surprising result for
it is
Grace
surprising.
McKeon. And just like that, Chris, the semifinal round at 2015 SCS Nationals is wrapped up. What was your big takeaway for the men? We saw some surprising names like Brendan Mitchell, Jesse Grupper near the top, but also some familiar names, Carlo Traversi, Kai Leitner. Who impressed you the most for the men?
I'm going to say I was most impressed by Kai Leitner because on moves where every other man was wobbling, he just seemed super chill until he fell off. Kai's performance was very, very impressive.
Yeah, it looks like Kai Leitner is going to be the #1 qualifier going into finals tonight for the women. Going to have to sort out the results there with Grace McKeon falling lower than we definitely would have expected. Going to see a lot of the familiar names in finals, though. Who impressed you most for the women, Chris?
Gosh, well, first of all, I was a little surprised that Alex Puccio did not top out the wall. Delaney really impressed me because every other woman who made it up to the top of the wall fell off on one particular sloper, and she made it look easy. She didn't just do it. It was easy.
Yeah, I'm going to actually go back and watch that once we're done here because I need to see that again.
Yeah.
Remember that finals will start tonight at 6:45 Eastern Time. You can check that out at lt11.tv. And in a little bit, there will be official results for the semifinal round here at SCSNationals.org. You can check all the action there, but do not miss finals tonight. It's going to be a great show. We have a $20,000 cash purse. Going to decide our U.S. national team and our national champion. It's going to be a great night, Chris. Looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. This is going to be awesome.
All right, thanks everyone for tuning into our semifinal coverage here. We will see you tonight at 6:45 Eastern. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.
Live streaming is a service that Louder Than 11 provides, but that's not really what we do. We use broadcast as a tool to tell real and inspiring stories that speak to the heart of our audience. As a fan, it's hard to be there for every single event, but Louder Than 11 is committed to creating the most entertaining and immersive experiences possible.